Night has always changed the rules, you know. Distance feels longer somehow. Sounds seem closer. Shapes distort in ways that can unsettle even the steadiest nerves. For soldiers, scouts, resistance fighters, and civilians alike during the Second World War, movement after dark was often unavoidable. In occupied cities, along rural backroads, and across contested terrain near places like Normandy and the vast Eastern Front approaching Stalingrad, night travel demanded discipline and preparation. Darkness could conceal you, but it could also expose every mistake. Travelling safely at night begins long before you step into the dark. Preparation determines survival, plain and simple. Routes must be studied in daylight whenever possible. Landmarks identified, hazards noted, sharp turns, broken ground, ditches, loose gravel, and potential observation points all become more dangerous when visibility drops. Experienced patrol leaders never relied on memory alone. They rehearsed routes mentally and physically. You can apply this by scouting unfamiliar terrain during the day. Note distinct shapes, tree lines, structures, and elevation changes. At night, these become reference points when depth perception fades. Preserving your night vision is essential. The human eye requires time to adjust to darkness, often up to 30 minutes for full adaptation. Exposure to bright white light resets that process. Soldiers learned quickly to shield their eyes from sudden flashes, vehicle headlights, or open flames. If light was necessary, red-filtered lamps were preferred because they interfere less with night vision. Even then, illumination was kept brief and directed downward. To practice this, dim indoor lighting before stepping outside at night. Avoid staring at screens immediately beforehand. Give your eyes time to adapt naturally. Move slower than you think you should. Rushing at night creates noise, missteps, and injuries. Depth perception decreases in low light, making holes and uneven surfaces harder to judge. Veterans developed a deliberate pace, controlled, steady, and cautious. Shorter steps reduce the chance of tripping. Knees slightly bent absorb unexpected shifts in terrain. Each foot placement is tested before full weight transfer. The goal is continuous control, not speed. In open areas, pause frequently and listen. Night amplifies subtle sounds. Footsteps, distant engines, voices carried by wind. These signals often reach you before you see their source. Use shadows, not open light. Even under moonlight, darkness is uneven, you know. Trees, walls, hedgerows and structures cast long shadows. Moving within those shadows reduces silhouette contrast. Avoid crossing illuminated areas unless absolutely necessary. If forced to cross, do so quickly and decisively, choosing the narrowest exposed path. Standing still in a lit area invites detection. If travelling in rural terrain, remain below ridgelines rather than silhouetting yourself against the sky. A figure outlined by moonlight is unmistakable even at distance. Control noise with intention. Night is quieter, and sound travels farther in cool air. Clothing friction, gear clinks, and even heavy breathing can carry sometimes much farther than you'd expect. Secure loose items before departure. Adjust straps to prevent rubbing. Walk on softer surfaces when possible. Packed earth is quieter than gravel, and grass absorbs sound better than dry leaves. If debris is unavoidable, step gradually rather than stamping down. In urban environments, be mindful of hollow surfaces like metal grates or wooden boards that amplify sound. Stay aware of orientation at all times. Disorientation is common after dark, even if you think you know the place well. Familiar terrain can feel foreign. Establish directional awareness before moving. Identify the position of the moon, prominent stars, or consistent wind direction. Even subtle environmental cues can anchor your sense of direction. If using a compass, shield it from unnecessary light exposure. Check direction briefly and continue moving. Avoid constant stopping, which breaks rhythm and invites confusion. If you lose orientation, stop immediately. Do not wander aimlessly. Regain reference using known landmarks or retrace controlled steps. When traveling in a group, it's crucial to move with proper spacing and discipline. You know, night really magnifies the consequences of crowding. If individuals move too closely, there's a much greater risk of collision and unwanted noise. With the right spacing, each person can respond to obstacles independently without setting off a chain reaction. Communication, by the way, should always be prearranged and kept to a minimum. Only whisper when it's absolutely necessary. More often than not, hand signals or a light tap on the shoulder are much safer options. If one person stops suddenly, everyone else must freeze right away. Discipline like this, it prevents those cascading mistakes that can spell real trouble. Trust your hearing every bit as much as your sight. At night, vision is limited, but your hearing can sharpen if you let it. It's a good idea to pause often and allow the environment to settle around you. Try to separate the natural sounds, like wind, insects, or distant animals, from any irregular disturbances. Sometimes a sudden silence in a place that's usually lively can signal the presence of people. Pay attention to changes, not just the obvious noises. Practice standing still for a while, focusing fully on listening. This habit honestly strengthens both your awareness and your patience. You need to manage fatigue and mental strain. Night travel, let's face it, is mentally taxing. The brain has to work harder to make sense of limited visual input. Fatigue, in turn, reduces your judgment and makes you more clumsy. So, take control breaks whenever it's safe to do so. Hydrate. Breathe steadily. Mental clarity is just as important as physical balance. Avoid unnecessary risks that come from impatience, because darkness really punishes haste. Above all, you must understand that safety at night is rooted in discipline. It's not about moving invisibly, it's about minimizing errors, reducing noise, controlling light, maintaining your orientation, and respecting the limits of your senses. The men who travelled safely under wartime darkness did so through preparation, patience, and restraint. Always study your route before you go. Protect your night vision. Move slowly and deliberately. Use shadow to your advantage. Listen more than you look. Stop when you're uncertain and regain control before moving on. These principles honestly kept soldiers and civilians alive during the most dangerous nights of modern history. They still matter wherever darkness changes the rules. If you value practical fieldcraft, serious military history, and timeless survival knowledge, do consider subscribing to the channel and sharing this with someone who respects disciplined movement. Remember, night has never been the enemy. Carelessness has.